2 with the bases loaded and 1 out. Oh, it got deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second deck walk-off home run. Grand slam Bryce Harper.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yeah. He's way too good. He steps around, move, and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead the ball. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. We always appreciate it. Reminder, you can check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. All of our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much for checking us out there as well. And reminder, when you go to sportskilletradio.com, you get great articles from Mike. You get all the latest sports news, shows updates. You got a Twitter account there. So lots to check out over at sportskilletradio.com. We want to thank the Heat Ratio for hosting us as well. Great programming there. You want to check out the Heat Ratio for their great line of programming and shows, such as Flyer and Ice. Great show about hockey that airs on the Heat Ratio. So again, Sports Skillet Radio, Heat Ratio. And then we got the coach, Shane McGowan, joining us, as we appreciate him taking time out of his schedule to join us each and every week. Coach Shane, can you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media channels?
Coach McGowan, come in.
And we also got Mike Nebby as well. Shane, do we have you?
Come in, Coach McGowan. Oh, great, he's muted.
Let me see if I can unmute his mic.
He is muted. Oh, my God.
Shane, are you there? We had some technical difficulties with Shane. Let me let
Shane, Coach McGowan, get off of Bell Media.
So let's see if we can.
Bell Media has the worst Wi-Fi in Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see if we can get Shane up there real quick. Having some technical issues with Shane there. Let's see what we can do here. Let me see if I can re-add him to the stream here. We always have these technical issues, with anything. And it is Halloween, so maybe Shane is having some trick-or-treating with us. So hopefully we can get Shane back. But Mike, it is Halloween. Let me ask you: Are you and your family doing anything special for Halloween this year?
I don't know. I really don't. My dad's gonna be on crossing guard patrol, so.
There you go. Handing out any candy this year, or don't you get that many trick-or-treaters?
I don't know.
I can tell you, Jeff and I, we recently, over the summer, moved into the townhouse. So Jeff and I are going to be handing out Halloween candy. Hopefully we get a few trick-or-treaters, because at our old house, the trick-or-treaters kind of aged out, so we weren't able to get that many. But hopefully this year with the Hopefully with the
move and the
move
hopeful
and
end of the
the
pandemic.
exactly. Still having some technical issues with Shane. He's got to connect his devices here, so hopefully Shane is trying. So hopefully we'll have him there. But one thing I wanted to bring up during the program, Mike, your top 3 Halloween candies of the of all time here. Top 3, like if you're going to hand out Halloween candy, Mike, what would be like the top 3 that you would hand out?
I actually don't have a top 3 because I'm not much of a sugar person.
Ah, gotcha. Well, let me give you
Gotta
mine.
keep the dental checkups in good order.
Okay. Well, I will give you mine because we are going to be handing out Halloween candy. So here are my top 3. I will go with Reese's. I will go with Kit Kat, and I will go with Peppermint Patty. The Reese's those would be my top 3. Shane, we were talking about top 3 Halloween candies of like all time. What do you think they would be? I went with Reese's. I went with Kit Kat and that peppermint patties.
I probably have to go with Smarties. Arrow Bar.
Okay.
And yeah, it's right. I don't know, like a Big Crunch or one of those type of.
Nestle Crunch. Yes, that is a good one. I like it. So if you guys want to comment on your favorite Halloween candies of all time, I want to thank Dean Seidman for joining us this week. Dean, if you have top 3 Halloween candies, post them. Let's see what we can get out of this. But let's get into the sports because that's what we do here on Sports Skillet. We talk about any and every sports topic. So if you have one, comment on our social media and we will get to it. Shane, it is a football weekend. So let's start off with some football talk this week as we go along here. And week 8 in the NFL is here. Shane, big topic in the NFL coming up. Do you think DeShaun Watson will be traded? Tuesday is the NFL trading deadline. Do you think Deshaun Watson will be dealt on or before the Tuesday NFL trading deadline?
I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to say no, just due to the fact of everything that's been happening. I heard Carolina was playing in the mix a little bit now too, and everything like that. But from what I'm gathering, they basically said, you know what, it's totally up to the GM. It's his call, his choice. And if he's not going to get what he wants, then he's not going to do it. And I think they're fine, again, with keeping DeShaun on the sidelines, giving him nothing of playing time or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that's the way they're going to be until they get what they want. And I just don't see that happening because Miami naturally is still that front runner. There's no question about that. But now with the questions and comments about Sam Darnold. Now, anything can happen with a 40-hour period here. We all know that. You know what I mean? They're going to be on the phone calls left, right, center. And it's going to, maybe it even depends on what happens after this weekend, right? Yeah. Of how Carolina plays as well, and Miami too. I just think that they're hemming and hawing so much. And I don't think it's just about nickels and dimes anymore. I think it really comes down to more of these draft picks that you're going to get and the guarantees with them. And I think that's what's really mind-boggling because, like we said before, the asking price is basically saying, we want this pick, this pick. Now, if DeShaun is suspended and other legal ramifications come, problem, we still keep our picks. And that's where these teams are kind of going, wow, that doesn't really fair. So we want some type of guarantees. And I think that's where the biggest hiccup is right now. So if one or the other teams are going to bend on it, then yeah, it's a good possibility. I just have a feeling that I don't think they're going to do that at the trade deadline. I think this thing's going to drag on right to the end, and that's it.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike? Do you think Deshaun Watson gets traded on or before Tuesday?
I believe that he will get traded before the Tuesday deadline, actually on the Tuesday deadline, which is actually election day here in the States. And he will get traded as the election results come in.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. I happen to think that DeShaun Watson will not be traded. I'm gonna go with Shane on this one.
Hang on. I predict DeShaun Watson will get traded to Miami.
That's the hot rumor. Miami seems to be in the lead for him.
That is what my predictable is saying. Now, fly away, Miami and Houston, and predictable too until the next time Mystic Footballs fly through. As Scott Clark used to do on Channel 7.
Yes.
He was one of my childhood inspirations to be a sportscaster.
There you go.
Alongside Marv Albert and Mike Emmerich.
There you go. Nice group there. But I predicted DeShaun will not get traded. I don't know that there's another team other than Miami that DeShaun wants to go there, because that's one of the things that plays into this is the fact that DeShaun Watson does have a no trade clause in his contract. So the Texans could work out a deal with, say, Carolina or some other team, maybe another dark horse in there. And DeShaun Watson may not want to go to that other team. So DeShaun Watson is a big player in this. He's already indicated that he would accept a trade to Miami. But will Miami pony up everything that the Texans want in a trade for him? That remains to be seen. I heard last week that maybe they had worked out the parameters of a trade, and we're just kind of fine-tuning it maybe a little bit. But it's going to be something to definitely keep an eye on this week to see if DeShaun Watson gets traded, because apparently the NFL will allow DeShaun Watson to play, which is another key factor in this, that DeShaun Watson can suit up and actually go out on the field and play for whatever team, because the NFL hasn't wrapped up its end of the investigation yet. So a big thing to watch for Tuesday's trading deadline is if DeShaun Watson gets moved and what team he gets moved to. I know Howie Roseman of the Eagles would love to get DeShaun Watson, but DeShaun Watson has indicated that he wants no part of the Philadelphia Eagles, at least to this point. So it doesn't appear as though DeShaun Watson is going to come to Philadelphia.
He wants no part of New York either.
Exactly.
And I blame him. The Jets' quarterback situation is iffy, and the Giants,
Exactly. With Danny Dimes there as your starting quarterback, Mike.
He's only a 73 overall in Madden.
Not good. Not good, Mike. So,
and I've been trying to trade him for the longest time. No one will take him.
I don't blame him.
So here's another one then for you there, Jay. Is that I heard there's rumors about Fletcher Cox might be on on the trade block as well. Teams have been showing interest. The problem is that good old Howie there, he wants an awful lot, in some ways, and I don't know if he's going to get that's what he wants or anything like this of high draft picks and everything like that. So we'll see, but I could see Cox being on the move. I mean, there's a lot of interior linemen that need help, teams that need help there too. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, and the thing is, Howie seems to be ramping up for this coming the 2022 NFL draft with all his draft picks. He's got Miami's, which looks to be a high one. The Eagles keep losing, so their pick keeps going up. They also have the first round. They also may have the first round draft pick of the Colts as well. So, Howie trades Joe Flacco back to the New York Jets to be their
for a sixth.
For a sixth, maybe a fifth, depending on his playing time. So Howie seems to be ramping up. But here's the thing for Eagle fans. Do you want Howie Roseman making all those draft picks that will influence not only the near future, but the far future of the Philadelphia Eagles as well? Do you want Howie Roseman in charge of the 2022 draft, or would you like to see Howie Roseman fired and another GM brought in there?
I cannot trust Roseman to influence the future of the Eagles, and I'm not an Eagles fan. So, Roseman, you're done.
I agree with you, Mike.
Get him out of here. Hit the road, Jack.
Yeah.
Hit the road, Howie.
I agree with you, Mike. I don't know that I'd want Howie, based on his track record.
I'd rather have Brody Van Wagenen as GM of the Eagles.
No. Definitely not. But based on his track, I mean, I think he may have had a decent draft last year, but based on his track record of coming up short and maneuvering around the draft board, I mean, he passed up Justin Jefferson. He could have been one of the Eagles' wide receivers at this point. Passed him up for Jalen Reagor. I mean, that was horrible, Shane. Horrible. Yep. I mean, I don't know that. Yeah.
I don't see. I do not see him being at all competent at making good decisions when it comes to this Eagle franchise, with the amount of draft picks that you're getting, as well as the able and opportunities to trade for higher caliber players, to come on for draft picks too. He does not have that talent. He doesn't have that gift, to get that job done like that. So that's great that you're stacking up on everything, but it isn't going to do any good if you're picking some crappy players, that are not going to do anything for you, especially position players too, right? That's another key thing too, is where are you weak and need at certain positions? And if you've got that many picks, you get that opportunity to say, hey, listen, we need a little bit more help on the defense. We need a little bit more help here, whatever it might be, right? You have those opportunities. Whereas he will do something more ass backwards, I guess you could say, and totally mess that up for you. And that's not a good look. And that's what I hate about that.
Exactly. I tend to agree with you. I don't think you can have Howie Roseman making those draft picks for the Philadelphia Eagles. I really don't. I'm very skeptical about leaving Howie in charge of the 2022 NFL draft. Mike, what do you think your Giants may do this week? Do you think they'll stand pat? Do you think they'll make a trade? What do you think they'll do?
I really don't know. I hear that there are some teams interested in Evan Ingram. I'd like to see Ingram get traded. He really hasn't been a consistent force like we wanted him to be. So I want to see Ingram get traded.
Gotcha. I hear you. So that's coming up on Tuesday. We have the NFL draft, so you want to stay tuned for that. Also, another question that I have for you guys. Do you think the bloom is coming off the roads for 49ers head coach Mike Shanahan? Doesn't have a great record overall for the San Francisco 49ers. Seems to struggle whenever he doesn't have his starting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo in there. And you would think with an offensive mind like Shanahan has, he'd have a better record overall as 49ers head coach, but he doesn't. And then you have Garoppolo getting hurt as often as he does. Shane, do you think Shanahan may be in trouble out there in San Francisco when you look at his overall record as head coach of the 49ers?
You can look and say, okay, well, you haven't had Kittle out there for much of the season either, right? Which is a big weapon that's not in play. You're relying on Debo an awful lot. I also think that Shanahan may be complicating his playbook a little too much for these guys. You know what I mean? I think he complicates that offense and it makes it a little bit more challenging, where if you're not on the right cue, right ball, I mean, it's going to be tough. And I think that's why that system that he's implementing is taking a long time for these guys. And I think that's the biggest problem that they're having. So replacing the QB every year is not going to help you. You know what I mean? It's definitely not. Especially if I look at the Rams. If you take the Rams for an example, Stafford been around for such a long time. He knows systems. He knows things. He still had to make the adjustment to Sean McVay's. And McVay is a very, very intelligent offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? There's no question about that. But he still had to make those adjustments and understand it, and still is each week. I just don't think San Francisco guys can do that. I don't think Garoppolo's doing that like he should. And I don't think Trey Lance, by all means, is not in that situation to be able to understand it either. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying is I just think Shanahan's playbook is a little too much right now, and that's got to change, or else you're not going to get production out of anybody.
Yeah, I hear you. What do you think, Mike? Is the bloom coming out the road for Shanahan out in San Fran?
I think he's done after this season. He's really struggled this year without Garoppolo, and the defense just hasn't been up to par this year. I think Shanahan's done.
You think he's done after this year? Do you think they'll bring him back for one more year, Shane? Or do you think he's done?
Nah, I don't think he's going to be done. I mean, you'll see more. You'll see other coaches gone before Shanahan. That's for sure. Like Nagy and those guys. I mean, to me, those are the guys that'll be gone first before they'll even ex-nay Shanahan. If Shanahan goes, you're going to see more teams upping and saying, "Okay, bring him over to us." I don't think he's a bad coach by all means. I just think he complicates things maybe a little too much that his players can't grasp. Then he just hasn't found that yet. Yeah. So this is where he's got to find that balance between these two QBs, offense, and his system that he wants to run. But I also got to look at their defense too. I mean, they haven't been as strong and as powerful as they were last year. And when you lose your defensive coordinator who goes on and head as a new head coach for the Jets, that takes a big chunk out of things too. You know what I mean? So it's been a bit of a mix-up, and I think that's why they would give him at least another year to say, let's see what you can do, depending on how you perform at the end of this season, where your record is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll give him at least one more season to work with Trey Lance too. I think that's going to be a key consideration because they spent a lot of draft capital to bring in Trey Lance in last year's draft, and I think that'll be a big consideration for the 49ers. Do you want to go forward with Shanahan grooming Trey Lance and bringing Trey Lance into the NFL, or do you want another maybe offensive-minded head coach to groom Trey Lance and to bring Trey Lance along? I would figure they would probably give Shanahan one season with Lance as a head coach rather than dismissing him and bringing in somebody entirely new unless they were supremely confident that coach would be able to get the most out of Trey Lance. And I don't know who that head coach, I don't know who that coach would be.
Well, the only other one I can think of is who's with Belichick right now. You know what I mean, as an offensive coordinator. But I think he's waiting for Bill to retire, and then he'll take over to New England. You know what I mean? But the other thing too is we're forgetting something is that after this season, we still got Aaron Rodgers and them who are going to be out there floating around. You know what I mean? So Aaron, you never know, still might wind up heading over to San Francisco, you know, in some capacity. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of speculations of things.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I think he would like to have Shanahan as a head coach. I think he would probably respect him, but I don't know that after drafting Trey Lance, unless they see something out of Trey Lance in practice or something like that maybe they made a mistake drafting him. I don't know that San Fran would go after Aaron Rodgers. I see Aaron Rodgers more of a fit in Pittsburgh than I do out in San Fran. Shane.
I understand that part, but again, too, is putting Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh when you still don't have an offensive line isn't going to help you.
True.
You know what I mean? And Aaron's going to look and say, I'm not going to get that beaten up. There's no way in the world. I'm here to win. I mean, this is what it comes down to. I'm here to get another ring. But I got to go to where I got that best advantage. So let's put it this way, at least 30 teams out there are going to say, okay, you know what I mean? Let's see what you got and how can we persuade you to come our direction? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's really what it's going to come down to when this season's done. But if Pittsburgh had an offensive line, because they can't even run that ball, so how the heck do you expect them to protect your quarterback? And Aaron is like Ben, where he's going to sit back as a pocket passer in many, many ways and not go up there scrambling. Yeah. So like I said, that's going to be key factors when it comes to this whole thing at the end. And I just, like I said, if Shanahan wants to groom Trey Lance, he's going to need a couple more years, just like how Green Bay has Love over there too. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's taken him how many years, right? So It's not going to be a fast process. And as you're looking at these quarterbacks that have jumped in, good Lord, Trevor Lawrence is getting slaughtered up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Zach Wilson isn't doing great by all means. Mac Jones is putting in his time, but he's, having so many issues himself too, right? So it's not like you can just throw these guys right in. Justin Fields is just getting hammered, you know what I mean, and things too. So It's not a good scene for any of these quarterbacks in that way right now.
Oh, I totally agree. What do you think about the young quarterbacks, Mike? They seem to be getting hammered when they've been put in there.
Yeah, this rookie class of quarterbacks has not impressed me one bit. I'm sorry, but 2021 has not been the year of quarterbacks, especially if your name is Patrick Mahomes, to be really honest with you.
Yeah, he's struggling out there in Kansas City as well, and we got to talk about them. I mean, Shane, Kansas City, the Chiefs have been a surprisingly bad team. Well, maybe bad is not the right word, but they've been struggling. I mean, they come into tomorrow night's game. They play on Monday Night Football. They're at home hosting the New York Giants, but they come in with a record of 3-4, and they're struggling in their division, Shane.
Hey, as long as they struggle in that division, I'm happy. Trust me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Because like I said, the only team I'm worried about now are the Chargers in that way. But honestly, though, when you think about it, the talent that's on that team, they are not synced. And last game I think was proven that how fast Mahomes is getting rattled out there. Defenses are rattling him more and more, and he cannot compose himself to get back into the action, and that's the problem. And even Kelsey making so many drop passes, you know what I mean, and things like this. So that team is not on that same page at all. They're running bad routes out there. They're not able to generate enough positive momentum to move those chains and control the game without something happening, fumbling, loss of down so many times and things. And that defense is getting exhausted because they're out there way too much. You know what I mean? And this is it. And they're getting picked on. That defense is getting picked on and hammered on too. And
they are.
Derrick Henry is a beast. You know what I mean? And there's no way you're going to just tackle him solely like that. So for him to do what he's done and the Titans, the way they're improving, I think, like I said, this game with the Giants is not only do they have to win, but they have to win impressively to get their own minds and mentality back of saying we are this once prominent, dominant team that should be heading to the Super Bowl. Right now, you're lucky if you can make even clinch a playoff. You know what I mean? Like a wild card. And our division is tough. Chargers are a tough team. Vegas has proven that they can mix with anybody. Denver is kind of still in the mix. You know what I mean? In some ways, they're not great, but they're still in the mix. And you don't want to necessarily be compared to them, right? So Kansas City needs to do something. And winning against the Giants is going to be huge. But they have to do it in an impressive way because the schedules aren't going to get any easier. But I think a lot of teams have figured out how to control Mahomes. That's the honest truth. I think they figured out how to control Mahomes and realize what his tendencies are and how they can X-nay it. But they've also put so much tight clamps on Kelsey and Tyreek. Hardman has to become your number one guy out there, and he's not be able to catch and hold on to the ball all the time.
I agree. And the funny part about it is, should Kansas City lose on Monday night against the Giants, they will have the, say what you will about the Giants and how they've been struggling this year, but if Kansas City loses to the New York Giants on Monday night, they will have the exact same record as the Giants.
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing. And staying in that division, Shane, you mentioned the Denver Broncos. They're hosting the Washington football team. They come in today with the same record as Kansas City, 3-4. If Denver beats the Washington football team, Denver would go to 500 and they'd have a better record than KC.
Well, and that's what I mean. It's right now KC is struggling. Like they are struggling bad in every aspect and in the ranks and everything like that. But I just think right now too, if you're the Giants, you're looking at this saying this team can be beaten. You know what I mean? And we could beat them. We really can. Whether it's going to happen or not is a different aspect because, like I said, Giants are far from a great talented team and things. They have lucked out. I'll give them that. You've lucked out on some stuff, right? But I mean, again, too, is Kansas City, by all accounts, should be that top 5 team in this league. And they're not. They're at the bottom 5 the way they're performing.
Oh, yeah. And Shane, you want to see a city implode. We have the Philadelphia Eagles going to Detroit. Eagles come in with a record of 2-5. Detroit comes in with a record of 0-7 to this game. You want to see a city implode. What would happen, do you think, if the Eagles actually lose to the Lions and the Lions get their first win of the season this afternoon?
Well, you might just find out tonight. Yeah, right. This is not good for Halloween and the Eagles, I think, because I'm actually going to take Detroit on this one. I think Detroit's going to do it. Detroit has been in too many close games. You know what I mean? Too many close games where they could have and should have won against very good teams as well. And I don't think that they want to let this one slip by. I think this is the one that they need to win. You know what I mean? More than anything. And I think it's there. It's on the brick of it. I just think that Philly is going to be relying an awful lot on Jalen to get mobile and get out of there. But I don't know. I really don't think I don't like your defense. I think your defense gives up way too much. And I think that Detroit is going to come after you guys in so many ways. And I think Goff is probably Jared Goff is going to have a much better game too. And I think the run game, I think Swift is going to have a good run game against you guys too. And that to me is what scares me because everyone underestimates Swift too much as a running back, pass catcher, everything like that. And he's torn up teams. And like I said, Detroit has been in the mix way too many times. And I just think that this is their game that they're going to say, this is ours. Finally, we're going to get that one win. But coming home to Philly is not going to be fun. That's for damn sure.
Oh, definitely. If Detroit gets the first win of the season, it could be ugly in Philadelphia. And do you think that should Detroit get their first win, go to 1-7, Philly drops to 2-6? Do you think that might be? I'm not saying that tomorrow they make a move, but do you think that could be a referendum on head coach Nick Sirianni's future, Shane? That maybe if Philly loses this game and Detroit gets that win, that Sirianni could be one and done in Philadelphia.
He should be.
Yeah,
I mean, when you think, look at through these games, all right, through these weeks, it's not so much you guys have improved. It's not like you can go out there and say, well, you know what, we've made good gains. We've come closer and closer, blah, blah, blah. No, you've actually decreased. You've actually sunk a lot lower. Your RPO action that you keep running is terrible. You finally start using Sanders, and he goes and gets hurt now because of what you did. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's not a good look for your head coach, not at all. And honestly, his play calling hasn't been successful at all. I mean, it's gone the opposite direction. So whether they say, okay, well, you give up the reins of the play calling, you know, for the rest of the season, and just go from there and then evaluate him at the end, and depending what your record ends up being, is a possibility. I could see that happening. They've done that before to other teams around the league where they've given up their certain positions and saying, I'm going to direct it all now to this coach and so on and so on. But like I said, if they lose to Detroit and it's not a close game, well, yeah, you might see somebody on the chopping block pretty fast.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, this is going to be a narrative on Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry, but if the Lions pull it out, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are going to be saying, why did we hire this guy? Nick Sirianni is not head coach material. He's not. If the Lions pull this one out, Sirianni is going to take all of the blame. He's going to be on the chopping block. He's going to be one and done.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you. I think this could be Nick Sirianni's falling out with the Philadelphia Eagle fan base. And the fan base right now in Philadelphia is already hot. the play calling of Sirianni and the defense. I mean, Shane, you saw that last week when the Eagles played your Las Vegas Raiders out there in Vegas. I mean, Vegas, the Raiders just literally marched up and down the field against the Philadelphia Eagles at will. And it's not just last week. I mean, quarterbacks have been putting up a 92, I think it was over 80% or over 90% completion percentage against this bend but don't break Eagle defense. But the problem is when you play the coverage that the Eagles are playing on defense, and you're absolutely mortified. You're terrified of giving up the big play, and so you play the safeties back and the corners back, and okay,
you're playing a soft defense. You're playing a soft zone out there, and you're relying on these corners to take down. As an example, if we just look at the Vegas Raiders, you got Waller, you got Ruggs, and even Josh Jacobs out there running up a storm on you. You know what I mean? In so many ways, Derek Carr's efficiency has been higher than ever before. So you basically disrespected what he could do, and that's what they went out there. Then you're on the offensive side. You got a Raiders defense that came after you nonstop and made Jalen Hurts so uncomfortable that he's running for his life out there, and he can't make anything happen. But the O-line could not get the run game going either because they couldn't get fast enough off the ball. So to me, you are just stalling and stale, and you kept trying to run those RPOs all the time, and it was not working, especially when every team knows what you're doing. You can't even – most defenses will respect what's going on out there. They'll respect the run, right, to be cautious, but they understand what you're supposed to pass. They don't respect the Eagles. And I think that's the problem right now. And that's the biggest problem. When you're more than halfway through a season, you're in a lot of trouble because you can't just change that and flip it on a dime. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
This head coach and his play calling has been the worst in Philadelphia. And for Jalen Hurts to not get comfortable out there and do as a talented young man that he is in many ways, you can't just rely on that lucky shot to throw it to Devontae Smith. You can't rely on that lucky one to throw it to Gobbert or anything like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ertz was so fortunate to get out of there because it's going to help his career down the road. But for the rest of these guys that are here on this team right now at trade deadline, I'd be putting up my hand saying, hey, you know what? Throw my name up there. Get me out of this place too because I want to win. And that's what these guys are falling. And this team is going to start sinking, especially if you lose tonight to Detroit. That is that dagger that's coming in at you guys.
Big time. Absolutely. I can see, like I said, I don't think Sirianni would be relieved of his duties on Monday, tomorrow, but I do think that come the end of the season, should the Eagles lose to Detroit this afternoon, I do think that could be a referendum on Nick Sirianni's future as a head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. A couple other games that we want to get into a little bit. In another division, we have a good divisional matchup. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Divisional matchup there. Shane, how do you see this one going down?
You know, the fact that Baker's still kind of banged up is a little bit of a tough one too, and they're just getting Chubb back, which is good, but he's still not 100%. So I do think you might be seeing a bit of a split field in that back with Chubb and Johnson that was playing last week, which is very, very talented young man. I think for Pittsburgh to win this, they got to air it out. They're going to have to air it out to Chase and to Devontae Johnson as well out there. And to me, I think that's going to be the big key because look at as much as I like Najee out there running, they can't run that ball. They cannot run that ball. Pittsburgh O-line just cannot get going. And Cleveland's defense is fast. They are a fast front that can do a lot of things. So I think it's not going to be a great run game. I do think they're going to have to pass it to win. But I also think that Cleveland may be able to hold them enough to get them into a field goal situation to win this one. So I would take Cleveland on this one just because I think Cleveland can pull it off. I think Cleveland can be a faster and better team in that way. But I think for Pittsburgh to have that opportunity or chance, they got to air it out, and these guys got to be on their game.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think about this game, Mike?
A game. Ugh.
Mike, we're talking about Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Mike, come on, pay attention.
Okay. I'm sorry. I haven't been in the right. Okay, so
Mike.
Key NFC North matchup: Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Right.
I'm gonna give it to Baker Mayfield because Ben Roethlisberger hasn't been up to snuff. He's on the wrong end of 30. I think he's at the end of his rope. I'm going to give it youth over experience. Baker Mayfield and Cleveland Browns take it 34-20.
Gotcha. Another key matchup, big game this week will be the Titans going to face the Colts. Shane, how do you see this one going down?
I do like Tennessee. I do like Tennessee in this one. I think Derrick Henry's just too much on fire. I know Julio Jones isn't playing, but AJ Brown has been on fire for Tennessee right now. He's a very, 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 very dominant offensive player right now. He's making a lot of things happen. Yeah. Carson Wentz is playing better. There's no question about that.
I think so.
I also like Jonathan Taylor out there. There's no better back that's in the top 10 than him as well too. But I do think though that in some ways that defense gives up a little too much, and I think Tennessee seems to be rolling at the right time, like they normally do. But they also know how to control the ball. They know how to take time off that clock. They just keep pounding at you and stuff. And the other thing, too, was even when you load the box, like they said, they had how many guys at the front to stop Derrick Henry? What does he do? He throws the ball. He throws the ball to the tight end. You know what I mean? This is the type of stuff that they're now getting creative with. Why not? You know what I mean? So you have to now look at this and say, oh, geez, well, I got to respect the run big time against one of the beasts. But I also got to understand that this guy can also throw a bloody football and catch us off guard, too. So you have to be careful of all these things. And I know Colts are going to be the ones that are going to be favored for this, but I just think that defense has been playing really well for Tennessee, like really, really well. And I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Carson to make some bad throws out there. And I don't know. I think TJ Hilton might be out too for this one. I don't think he's playing this game. I'm not sure with a quad injury.
Gotcha. Mike, how do you see this game going down?
Derrick Henry's just going to run all over the defense in this game. Tennessee's taking it.
You think so? I think Tennessee will probably wind up winning this game, but I think it'll be a good game for Carson Wentz. I think week by week, I think he has been improving as the quarterback for the Colts. He's getting more and more comfortable in that offense. It would help the Eagles if the Colts lose because they would get a higher draft pick. So, I do want Carson Wentz to continue playing. I just need the Colts to lose. So, if there's a good team that the Colts can kind of go up against, which I think the Titans are, and like Mike said, Derrick Henry is just a beast to try and defend. I mean, he's getting the ball, he's running with it, and he's just tough to bring down. If he's not the best running back in the NFL, I'd like you to tell me who is.
No.
I really think Derrick Henry is the best running back in the NFL. Another game that's come up is the Cowboys at the Vikings this week. Dak Prescott has that injured quad. Shane, do you think Dak should play? I'm not saying will he play. I'm saying should Dak Prescott play with that injured quad? Because they say it's going to be a game-time decision. They haven't decided yet, which to me means the quad is still bothering him to some degree. It may not be as bad as it was maybe earlier in the week, but it's still kind of bothering him. Would you have Dak Prescott play, or would you go with the backup quarterback if you're the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, first I don't think he should play, and second, from what I understand, is all week has been the backup quarterback taking all the first string reps, right?
Yeah.
So I think they've already projected it and saying we're going to just toe this, and it'll be that game time decision. But you don't necessarily give your backup that much reps, even if you're resting Dak for a little bit, unless you're prepared to say, okay, get in there, you're the guy for this one. I think, and it's a tough one because the Vikings need the win as well. So I think the Vikings are going to come out very, very tough and hard. And I know one of the biggest things that was talked about this week about this, saying even if Dak does play, well, he's going to be favoring that side of his leg, which means now you put strain on the other side, which means now other injuries could easily happen. You know what I mean? You need this guy for the long haul. You need him for getting closer and closer, especially, when you're already winning the division that you're in. You need him to make sure that he can maintain this all the way through till we get to the conference and the playoffs and stuff like that. To give him another game off, I think, is something that you'd have to do just to be safe and everything, and rely on what you got out there. You take the loss, you know what I mean? But I just think if they push him too much right now, those games that are really, really going to matter down the road might bite you in the butt because you didn't take that extra week that's needed.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike? Should Dak Prescott play in this one?
No, he should not. It's going to be the backup quarterback, and it may be a tough game for the Cowboys without Dak.
Yeah, I know Dallas is fighting for. I think they have the Division 1, so I don't think that's a question. But I do see Dallas fighting for pole position in the NFC, and you want to get that number 1 seed, get that week off, have all the teams coming through your city for the playoffs. And I know that's one thing that the Cowboys are kind of fighting for. With some other teams in the NFC. So I do see that being important to the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't think you can play Dak Prescott in this one. I know he may come out for warm-ups and may be feeling better, but I would give Dak Prescott the week off. I would set him down because you don't want him tweaking this or doing something that may tweak another muscle, something like that. Maybe force his mechanics to be off in some way. So I would come out, maybe you work him out in warm-ups, to kind of play mind games with the Vikings. But I would sit Dak Prescott in this one. You want to look long-term. And you don't know what other quarterbacks may get hurt. So this loss may not affect the Cowboys as much as they're making it out to be in some other media outlets. Yes, maybe Dallas loses the game because they have the backup quarterback in there. But I would sit Dak Prescott today. I wouldn't play him at all. I would sit him. Absolutely. And look more long-term with the Dallas Cowboys in this one rather than play Dak Prescott. If you win, great. You get that win with your backup quarterback. But if you lose, so be it. And you come out and you have a healthy Dak Prescott, hopefully for the rest of the season, if you're the Dallas Cowboys. So I would definitely sit Dak Prescott in this one. What should be a slaughter, Shane? Cincinnati going to the Meadowlands to face the Jets. I don't think the Jets have any prayers in this one. What do you think, Shane?
No, and look at Cincy's playing really, really well. I mean, they're Jamal Chase. Here's a guy that gets 200 yards receiving.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's just unheard of, especially in this league like this. You know what I mean? So for him to get that, Joe Mixon's playing great tailback / out of the backfield type of pass catcher too. So I mean, he's multi-talented in that way. But that defense has also come on, all right? Yeah. And Joe Burrows is getting the time. He's getting the time right now. He's making a lot better decisions to T. Higgins and the rest of the guys up there. So, like I said, going against against a beat up Jets team without a quarterback as well, you know, I mean, it's not exactly a good time or anything like that. So I think Cincy, as long as Cincy doesn't take them lightly, go out there and play them hard like they should be. You know what I mean? I think they'll be fine. They're going to do just fine out there.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Mike? I don't think the Jets have a prayer in this one.
Jets are done for. I'm picking Joe Burrow and the Bengals, 35-3.
Yeah, I think it could be really ugly with the Jets' backup quarterback in there. I don't think they got a prayer against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to continue to roll in this one. I don't think you see Joe Flacco yet, but I think it's almost time for Joe Flacco. Give Joe Flacco another week to learn the offense. And if they don't have their starting quarterback back next week, I think you'll see Joe Flacco in there. Just give him another week to get a little more comfortable and to learn the offense. And we got a 1-6 team, Miami, going into Buffalo. Again, I think that's going to be a slaughter, Shane.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo is going to roll all over Miami.
I think Buffalo needs to too. I think Buffalo needs to keep establishing themselves as a dominant team. You know what I mean, right now, because of their losses that they've had throughout the season this far. So I do think that they're going to come up there. Josh Allen's going to have a big game as well.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Mike? Any prayer for Miami?
No. Josh Allen and Buffalo got it.
Yeah. I
41-10.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get to 41, but I think it's going to be a slaughter. Absolutely. So there you have it. Let's do our 3-pack of picks. We do them every week. The top 3 picks that we like in games going on this week. Mike, I will start with you this week. Your big 3 games of the week.
Okay. I'm going to be picking Cincinnati. I'm going to
over the Jets.
Cincinnati over the Jets.
Yeah.
Tennessee over Indy. And I'm going to pick Atlanta over Carolina.
Very nice. Shane, who do you have this week?
No, I'm grabbing my Rams over Houston. I'm taking the Bills over the Dolphins. And I am gonna take Cincy over the Jets too.
Gotcha. I am going to go for this week. I am going to go with the LA Chargers 4-2 over the 3-4 New England Patriots. I will go with the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars get their second win of the season. And again, maybe we'll discuss now. I will go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6-1 over the New Orleans Saints later on this afternoon. Saints come in with a record of 4-2. Shane, do you think the Saints have any prayers of beating the Buccaneers?
No.
Yeah.
I think Alvin Kamara is the only one that's keeping them in the mix. You know what I mean? But watching that game against Seattle, and they could not get anything going at all against a very bad Seattle team. Okay, defensively, offensively, Jameis Winston was overthrowing, couldn't get anything. And I understand Seattle's a crazy place; it's raining, the weather's all over the place, and stuff like that. But to me, Jameis Winston did not look at all like a guy ready to play out there, and his receivers couldn't do anything right either. Kamara saved them in as he always does, and that's their only saving grace of having that guy. But I think going against Tampa Bay with what they've got, even missing Antonio Brown, they've got a run game, they've got a defense that's playing top notch right now. You know what I mean? So no, I gotta give Brady and company that win. Gronk is back. I guarantee Gronk's going to end up getting another touchdown tonight too.
I hear you, Mike. What do you think about this game?
Tampa Bay can't bet against Brady and Gronk.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Mike. I think Tampa Bay, that's why I'm picking them. I think Tampa Bay has them in this game. So there you have our 3 packs of picks. Reminder, you can comment on our social media pages. We want to thank the Heat Ratio for hosting us as well. So however you're finding us, feel free to comment on our social media and we will see it as well during the show. Before we get out of here for the week, we do have the World Series going on. Atlanta took a commanding lead in this series last night, Mike. 1 win away from the World Championship are those Atlanta Braves.
They're going to
Astros. What do you think?
They're going to choke. Atlanta's a bunch of chokers.
You think Houston can come back, trailing in the series 3-1?
It's been done. It has been done before. It can be done again.
It can. They will have to definitely wait. We're taping this show on Sunday, so Houston will have to rattle off 3 straight wins. Do you think they can do it, Shane?
Nope. I'm gonna take. I just like I picked it earlier. This one, nope. If the Braves are gonna take it after they beat my Dodgers. So yeah, I'm taking the Braves.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think last night was a pivotal game in the series. I think Houston had to win last night to even up the series. They did not. It was a bullpen game for the Atlanta Braves, and the Atlanta Braves wound up winning the game late with a couple of key home runs in that one. And now Houston has its back against the wall, has to rattle off 3 straight wins. And I just don't see. Can I see Houston getting 1 win? Yeah, maybe they could get 1 win, but I don't see Houston being able to rattle off 3 straight wins against Atlanta. I think Atlanta could very well close it out Sunday night and become the world champion. And all year everybody beat up on the National League East, and once again, the National League East could have the world champions in Major League Baseball. We saw the Washington Nationals win it, and now we can see the Atlanta Braves come back with the world championship. So as bad as the records were in the National League East, there you go. The Atlanta Braves could wind up being world champions, and that would be interesting for the National League East to have the world championship when they had such poor records during the regular season. Mike, before we go, can you give us your NASCAR picks of the week? You went against Mark Eckel on social media. You chose a different winner for today's race.
Yes, I went against Mark Eckel in picking Chase Elliott, and we are at Martinsville this week. Late word is that Denny Hamlin failed tech inspection twice, so he has to start at the rear of the field for today's Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. It's a half-mile track, not much room, so there's bound to be some chaos. And it's the last race of the round of 8, so last chance for drivers to get themselves into the championship 4 next week at Phoenix.
Gotcha. And who are you picking?
I'm picking Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott, Mike is predicting will win today's race. So, guys, before we get out of here, anything that we failed to touch on? Any final words? Mike, I'll start with you. Any final words?
No.
Okay. Shane, any final words? Anything we failed to cover in today's show?
Well, the only one I'm going to say is the undefeated Arizona lost to the Green Bay Packers in a very, very exciting game. So, I mean, that kind of gives you a little bit of an eye-opener of exactly where the Cardinals are and how Green Bay is coming on strong, too. So, I think that was a huge one for them. So, look forward to see what's happening this week after this weekend, and we will talk again next weekend, boys.
We will. We will be fired up and ready to go again next week. Again, we want to, Shane, before you let you go, one more time, can you let people know how they can find you on your social media?
Yeah, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca as well as at my social media, mental_edge_performance. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a blast, and happy Halloween to everybody.
Happy Halloween to everybody. Again, we want to encourage you to list your favorite Halloween candies on our social media site. Again, check out sportsskillerradio.com. We got sports news up there. We got our Twitter feed up there with opinions. Great articles by Mike Nebbia as well. So sportsskillerradio.com, all our social media sites. And again, check out the Heat Ratio as well. Great programming on the Heat Ratio. Great shows like Fire and Ice. So again, hockey, you want to check them out as well. They got a great hockey program, Fire and Ice. So check that out. And again, we will see everybody again next week. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you on.
With the bases loaded and 1 out. Fowles it down deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second and walk-off home run. Grand slam, Bryce Harper. It's been a exciting game. 4th and goal.
stays right with it. Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline.